it started.
Thank you for that, Tamaya. I'm telling you, Tamaya is the glue that holds us all together. So the Early Educator Support Unit is the local education agency for NC pre-K lead teachers employed in non-public school programs. Our unit basically does everything that the public school system would do for their teachers, only we just work with the non-public sector. And the Early Educator Support Unit also only handles licensure for the NC pre-K lead teachers. We do not work with teacher assistants, and we do not work with long-term substitutes. I know sometimes throughout the year, we will get emails about the qualifications for a long-term substitute. And the Early Educator Support Unit does not handle qualifications or licensure for long-term substitutes. We only handle licensure for NC pre-K lead teachers that are employed in your non-public school programs. So that's the unit, but our Division of Child Development and Early Education contracts with two universities. We contract with East Carolina University, which is actually my alma mater, and we contract with UNC Charlotte. So for you guys in Mecklenburg County, your NC pre-K lead teachers will receive mentoring and evaluation services from UNC Charlotte. So if you're talking to a teacher or getting an email and the correspondence is coming from the EES unit, then they're referring to the Raleigh office, me and Tamaya, anyone handling licensure in the Raleigh office. If you hear the EES office, then they're referring to UNC Charlotte for mentoring and evaluation services. So just want to make sure you understand the difference between the EES unit and the EES office at UNC Charlotte or East Carolina University. All right, now we're going to jump to enrollment and eligibility. The first thing that you all need to know as site administrators is that the enrollment process has changed a little bit. I know every year we do some updates, and we had an update this year to our enrollment application. As you all are aware, the enrollment application is available online on our website via DocuSign, but we're now asking for additional information. And previously, the teacher was responsible for completing the entire enrollment application and submitting it to us. Now we're getting you all involved as the site administrator. So what's going to happen is the teacher will initiate the application. They will go to our website. They will start the application, put in their personal information, their name, their address, their phone number, their email address, and all of their educational information. Once they're done with their portion, because the teacher input their director's email address, the DocuSign application will now route to the site administrator to enter in additional information. So now the site administrator will have to enter in the site information and the change request number or the CR number. What was happening is some teachers were enrolling with our unit that were not actually hired as an NC pre-K lead teacher. So now we want verification from you all that they are actually hired as the NC pre-K lead teacher. So you will input the site information. And also, teachers were enrolling with us, but their information was not being input into the NC pre-K plan database. So now as a site administrator, you will have to be in constant communication with your NC pre-K contracting agency to get the CR number. And it has to be the exact CR number. You can't just input a number, because if the CR number that's on the enrollment application does not match the CR number that's in NC pre-K plan, then we can't process it. Our intake and enrollment team can't process it. So please, 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 you all will have to develop some kind of a process to make sure that you all are getting the accurate CR number for your specific teachers so that you can then input it on the enrollment application. Once the site administrator inputs the site information and the CR number, then the enrollment application will be submitted to our unit. And that's when our intake and enrollment team will review it to provide the teacher with their next steps within about 10 business days of receipt of the application. It's going pretty quickly right now, so they may get an email with their next steps quicker than 10 days, but roughly I would allow like a 10-day grace period for us to get the application, review the information to make sure that the numbers correspond with what's entered into plan, and then to determine the next steps for the teacher to provide them with their information.
So, Brianna, I have a question. And whenever a question comes up, I think I'm just going to raise my hand so that you can see it on Teams. So, not a question, but just a comment. Once we enter the teacher's information into the plan, the CR number will be generated, and we will send you that CR number.
You will put the CR number in the enrollment application.
Okay, we will put the CR number in the enrollment application, and
we have to.
So
the site administrator will.
Yes, that's me. So once we get the CR number, we will communicate that CR number with directors. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So we'll send you information about the CR number when we get the CR number. Once the teacher's information is entered.
Okay. Let's go. I'm gonna do this step by step. Once the teacher information is in there in the application, that's all we need. They do that, and then that information is forwarded to you.
It will once Brianna, can you help clarify the question? Once the teacher puts her information in, is forwarded to whom? Once the information is put in the system.
So with DocuSign, the teacher will put her email address in the enrollment application as well as the site administrator's email address. So that the system knows who to send it to. So the teacher will fill out their personal information and their education in their enrollment application. And then once they've entered all that the system will allow, the way DocuSign system is set up, it will now go to the site administrator. So the site administrator will have to be cognizant of their email inbox because that's where their enrollment application will be. The site administrator will get the DocuSign link in their email. They will open the DocuSign link and they will see what teacher it's for, and they will see the personal information and the education that the teacher entered. And then that site administrator is going to be responsible for putting the site information in there and also the CR number. And the site administrator will have to get that CR number from the contractor. And so once the site administrator talks to the contractor and gets that CR number, the site administrator is going to put that number in the enrollment application via the DocuSign link and then hit submit.
Okay.
I have a question. What's the turnaround for the CRN number? I had pulled it earlier. I have submitted my paperwork. It's been 2 weeks, and I have not received that CRN number.
Did you hear that, Brianna?
Say it again. I didn't. Can you say it for me?
I guess this is for CMS. I have submitted my paperwork for my teachers, but I still have not received that CRN number. What's the turnaround for the local contact agency to give that to us?
So if you have submitted information and you are waiting on a CR number, you get that CR number from the contractor. So that's who you need to contact, the contractor.
And that's us, Brianna. So today, after this meeting today, we have been, because we've been short-staffed, we have been trying to work out all of the necessary steps within the plan and kids and all of that. We're trying to understand the lingo. So Cher and her team, they're working on that today after this meeting, actually. So training so we can get those numbers to you as soon as possible.
Is there an expiration on this DocuSign? Because I keep getting reminders and I don't want it like the time out or expire and we have to start it. Is there an expiration on DocuSign?
Did you hear that, Brianna? Is there an expiration?
Tamaya, can you help me with that one? Is there an expiration date for when those DocuSign have to be filled out?
I think there may be, but it's a while, like probably months. So for right now, you guys should be okay.
But you will keep getting the reminders until
Right.
your portion has been completed, which it sounds like you may just be waiting on the CR number. So it sounds like some magic is happening with the contracting agency, and you guys should be getting those numbers pretty quickly.
I do want to add that there are instructions on the enrollment application process online. There's written instructions as well as a video. So if you guys go to our website, they're there, the video and the written instructions. And I think we've also shared them directly with the contracting agencies to distribute with you guys.
Are there any other questions?
Well, not really, just let me clarify a little bit for me.
Okay.
Now, after the application is completed by the teacher, and then it will automatically instruct me to do my part. When, at what time, at what point would that CR number show up in my inbox? Is that how it works?
So Cher, can you help me with that question?
Yeah, so for Jennifer Griffith is gonna talk with us today and train us and let me know exactly when the CR numbers will be available. And once we get them in our email, we will send them directly to you. We're working as fast as we can. We're just trying to get some training so we can learn all the systems ourselves. So Jennifer's gonna spend some time with me and my team afterwards so we can make sure to get that information to you as quickly as possible.
And that'll be an individual number for each individual teacher?
Absolutely. It's a change request number. Yep, so we get it. We haven't started receiving them yet, so we just need to get a little bit of training today and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
Is this process just for new teachers or is it for all teachers?
So great question. So this process is for your newly hired teachers, your new teachers. All returning teachers that need to have their licensure information reviewed will get a change request that Jennifer will be speaking about later on. But as far as the director is concerned, they will only be needing the CR number for their newly hired NC Pre-K teachers that are just now enrolling with our unit. Great questions. I love it. Keep them coming. All right. Should I move on? Should I stay on this slide a little bit longer?
Any more questions about this slide? I think we're ready to move on.
All right, awesome. If you have any more questions, I can go back to explain this if I need to. So let's say that the teacher got hired as your NC Pre-K lead teacher. She or he started their enrollment application with the EES unit. They did their portion. The site administrator got the email DocuSign link, and the site administrator entered in the site information and they entered in the CR number. They submitted the application to our unit. Now what? So I said within 10 days, our unit will process it to send the teacher and the site administrator an email. They're going to get one of two emails. They could get a welcome notification email, or they could get a complete enrollment email. This example that I'm showing you is the welcome one. This is an example for a specific teacher, and the information is going to be a little different for each one depending upon what we need. So for this email that you're going to get that says, "Welcome to the Early Educator Support Unit. We've received your information. You're now in phase 1 of our unit." We like to say, think of our unit is broken down into 3 different phases. Phase 1 is the eligibility and enrollment stage with our intake team. Phase 2 is when I come into play to request the license for you. I also will approve the teacher in NC Pre-K plan during phase 2. And then phase 3 is when the teacher will get their mentor and or their evaluator. So a lot of times teachers enroll with us and the first thing they want to know is, when am I going to get a mentor and evaluator? Well, there's a lot of things that need to happen before you can get the mentor and evaluator. The first thing you need to do is we need to make sure that you're completely enrolled and that you're eligible for a license. And then phase 2 is when I will come in to approve the teacher and then request any action that needs to take place. So for the welcome email, if we need additional information, this is where we're going to ask for more information. So this section in the middle part of the screen is going to be different for each teacher depending upon what we need from them. For this example, we needed a copy of the license and we needed a plan of study for either a provisional birth through kindergarten add-on or a pre-K add-on. So we'll tell you what we need from you and we'll tell you how to submit it. And we also give you a deadline of when to submit the documentation. For a site administrator, I know a lot of times site administrators want to know, when is my teacher going to get approved so that we can draw down reimbursement from the contracting agency? What I would say back to that question is, as a site administrator, in order for me to help you get your approval faster, I need your help in making sure that the teachers submit their documentation to us by that deadline date in that email. So when these emails come out, they are going to be sent to the teacher, and copied on that email will be the site administrator, the local NC pre-K contracting agency will be copied on the email. I'll be copied on the email, and our EES office at UNC Charlotte will be copied on the email. So everyone will know that we've received this enrollment application for this teacher. We need this specific additional information, and we'll tell you how to submit it, and we'll also tell you the deadline in which you need to submit the documentation by. If the teacher finds out for any reason that they cannot submit the information by that deadline, please let us know as soon as possible. That is very, very important. I say it year after year, and every year there are examples of us not being notified until the very last minute that a teacher can't submit something. And because we're told at the last minute, there's not much that we can do. There's a lot of nuances when it comes to licensure. And so sometimes we are able to help and give additional resources or try other alternatives to get a teacher qualified for licensure. But we won't know to do that until you tell us that you're having an issue in enough time for us to work our magic on our end. So please, 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 as a site administrator, you're copied on this email. Please look at the email, read the email, and be in contact with your teacher to ask them, I see you had to submit a copy of your license and a plan of study. Where are you in the process of submitting this application? Because I see you have a deadline of August 16th and you need to turn that in. Also in the email, we are going ahead and telling teachers that you are going to be responsible for completing at least 6 semester hours from your plan of study each school year. That roughly equates to about 2 classes each school year. But we want to go ahead and tell teachers when they first enroll, so they can be in contact with their college to make sure that they are registering for the appropriate classes so that they have enough time to take the coursework during the fall and the spring. Now, I know sometimes teachers and site administrators get confused when it comes to like EDU 119. Sometimes people think that, well, that's all that they need to take. And that is a great course to take. However, the classes that need to be taken for licensure purposes, they have to be indicated on your plan of study. If a teacher takes a class that's not on their plan of study, it will not count for them towards that 6 semester hour requirement. So it's very important that this blue box in the bottom part of the screen is also read thoroughly by all parties copied on the email so that everyone's aware to complete the 6 semester hour requirement and to make sure that classes taken are from your plan of study. We also tell you at this point that basically further on down the line, you may have to pay a licensure processing fee. And unfortunately, that processing fee could be anywhere from $60 to $100. So we go ahead and tell you guys up front so that teachers and you all can be prepared for the licensure fee that they may have to pay. So let's say the teacher enrolls, they got that welcome email and they submitted all their requirements. And now it's time for us to tell them that they're complete. Or let's say for the second scenario, that a teacher enrolls with us, they already have a license, there's nothing else for them to submit. So this may be the only email that they get saying that your enrollment is complete and now you're in phase 2 of licensure. You all as a site administrator will also be copied on this email as well. This is where we are telling you that now you are basically in my ballpark as a BK licensure specialist, and that I am going to be requesting a license for you. We tell the teachers how to get in contact with me. You can call me. Email is probably the best option. I can get to my email a lot quicker than I can my phone sometimes. So the licensure box may look a little different for each teacher depending upon the teacher's specific information, but everything that the teacher needs to know in the beginning of the licensure phase will be in this email. And again, you as a site administrator and the contracting agency will be copied on the email. We go ahead and give them some information about professional development and what they need to know as it relates to getting their mentor and their evaluator. And that'll be at the bottom. The important note at the bottom, the very bottom of the page, is the EES change of information form. This, I'm gonna speak on this form a little bit at the end, but I want to tell you now that the EES change of information form is very, very important. If a teacher changes their name, if they change their email address, if they change their phone number, if they change anything about them, we need to be updated. And you may submit information to the contracting agency, which is great. Like if your name changes, that's great. But their system doesn't talk to our system in the Raleigh office. So there would be no way for us to know that a person's name has changed or a person's email address has changed or the phone number has changed. The only way for us to know that they have changed anything about them is to fill out the change of information form. I'm going to speak on that a little bit later, but I want to go ahead and tell you now that please, please, please tell your teachers that if something changes about them, we need to know. And the way that you can let us know is by completing this change form. It's hyperlinked in this email, and it's also on our website under additional resources. All right, eligibility. When looking for teachers, when hiring teachers, of course, we would recommend you look for a licensed teacher. On the screen is a list of any combination of a license that a teacher could have. They could have a continuing license. They could have an initial license. Their initial license may have something else added to it. If the prospective applicant holds one of these licenses on the screen, they may or may not be eligible. But we will tell you if they're eligible for certain after they enroll with us and we see all their information. Then we'll be able to tell you for certain if they are eligible or not, and we'll put that information into the NC Pre-K Plan database. So all questions about teachers' eligibility will be given from me to the contracting agency, and it'll be in the NC Pre-K Plan database. And Jennifer Griffith will speak to you more on that this afternoon. But these are the type of licenses that we recommend you look for your applicants, because they may or may not be eligible. But we'll do a deeper dive into that once we see their information. All right, now this seems to be the majority of my teachers that I see for the newly hired teachers, unlicensed teachers. If a teacher does not hold a license, the main question that I get from directors is, well, what do I do? How do I know who to look for? How do I know which person to hire? At the very least, the applicant must have a bachelor's degree. Absolutely, they have to have a bachelor's degree. That's a non-negotiable. They also must now, we have to start the process of determining if they're eligible for a residency license. And these are the requirements to be eligible for a residency license. You have to have the 2.7 GPA, 24 semester hours in coursework related to birth through kindergarten, and you have to be enrolled in the EPP. Now, I will tell you, the non-negotiable is the bachelor's degree. The other two bullets of the 2.7 GPA and the 24 semester hours of coursework related to BK, that's pretty subjective depending on which educator preparation program or EPP the teacher enrolls. For example, let's say, for the sake of conversation, the teacher wants to go to East Carolina University for their residency licensure program. Well, East Carolina may be looking for coursework that is specifically related to birth through kindergarten, child development, early childhood education, infants and toddlers, something like that. But a teacher may go to Catawba College for their residency licensure program, and they just may be looking for the teacher having completed 2 Englishes, 2 sciences, 2 maths, and they may become eligible for a residency license. So I'm going to speak on residency a little bit more later on, but I just wanted to tell you that for the sake of this slide, the non-negotiable is a bachelor's degree, and then the other two of having a 2.7 GPA and 24 semester hours, those are a requirement as well, but those two are going to be determined by the EPP in which the teacher is enrolled. I know back in the day, our office would determine eligibility for teachers when it came to a lateral entry license. But unfortunately, when lateral entry licenses went away and they kind of transitioned to residency, the responsibility of determining licensure eligibility was given to the EPPs and not so much our office. I know I would love to be able to tell you all who is eligible for a license before you hire them, but unfortunately, because of the structure of residency, we can't do that. Now I'm going to transition into licensure. Do I have any questions before I go into licensure?
Are there any questions? No, we're ready.
Awesome. All right, so when it comes to licensure, the 3 things that I want to make sure you all take away is that I am responsible for requesting licensure for all of your teachers. Please, please, please do not instruct a teacher to request their own license. It happens every single school year, and it becomes a bigger issue when teachers request licenses themselves. Licensure is a big world, and sometimes teachers get the advice from any number of people that they should go ahead and request a license themselves. Please make sure that you tell these teachers do not request the license themselves. Brianna Best or Tamaya Pittman or somebody else in the Raleigh office will request the license for them. If they tell you that they were told to request the license themselves, they would have gotten those instructions in an email and have them show you that email from us where we said it. Because I promise you, the message is that our office is responsible for requesting a license for every single teacher. Also, please make sure that these teachers are aware that they will have to pay $60 to $100 for their license. It's a teacher's license, they're responsible for paying it. I know some sites will reimburse the teachers. I think that would be great, but we can't help, unfortunately, with the licensure fees. And so when I request the license, I will tell the teacher and you all that we have requested the license, and I will tell the teacher and you all of the next steps that they have to complete. In those steps, I'm going to tell you to pay the licensure fee. Now, the Department of Public Instruction will not look at the request until the teacher pays the licensure fee. Excuse me, currently it's taken the Department of Public Instruction about 3 months to issue a license that I have requested. that 3-month time frame does not begin until the teacher pays for the fee. So it may take them even longer to issue the license, depending upon how long it takes the teacher to pay. So please, 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 as soon as you are hiring them, make sure that they understand that they have to complete coursework from their plan of study at a rate of 6 semester hours per school year at least, and make sure they know that I, as their licensure specialist, will be requesting the license for them, and that they are responsible for paying the licensure fee of $60 to $100. All right, this is where I'm going to get more into the specific licensure types that you may see. I know licensure is a big confusing world, so I'm going to try to break it down. Please, please, please feel free to stop me at any point. The residency licensure model is what replaced lateral entry. They are similar, but not the same. A residency license is only valid for 1 year. You do have the option to renew that license 2 times within a 3-year period. So you can look at it as the teacher has 3 years with the residency license, but it's different in the sense that you'll only have it 1 year at a time. And you have to meet certain requirements and able to renew that license for the 2nd or 3rd year. Each school year, the teacher has to complete at least 6 semester hours from their plan of study. That's our requirement. Now, the EPP, or the Educator Preparation Program or college university that teachers enrolled in, they may have an additional set of requirements that the teacher has to meet each school year. So they're meeting our requirements and the school's requirements each year. In order for that residency licensed teacher to remain eligible as your NC Pre-K lead teacher, they need to meet both sets of requirements. And so we, at the end of each school year, we will start our process of the renewal and contact each teacher's college to ask, hey, is Briannia Best able to renew her residency license for the 2nd year? Or hey, is Tamaya Pittman eligible to renew her residency license for the 3rd year? And so it's a little bit more complicated, but for sake of conversation, that's basically what we're trying to ask them. And they will say, yes, Briannia has met the requirements for the license to be renewed for 2nd year. Our office will say, great, we'll go ahead and renew it. Your teacher is now eligible to return for the next school year. Unfortunately, maybe Tamaya didn't do her requirements. Sorry, Tamaya. And the teacher may not be eligible to renew their license for the 3rd year. And unfortunately, then we will try to tell them to get enrolled in another college that may renew the license for another year. But if the teacher can't find a school that will allow the license to be renewed for another year, then they're not going to be eligible to stay in your classroom as that NC Pre-K lead teacher for that school year. I hate to say it, but there have been some teachers this summer where we have had to say that we've been in correspondence with your EPP and they have said for these specific reasons, they will not renew your residency license. And unfortunately, we have to send those emails out to the teacher, the site administrator, and the contractor saying that this teacher is not eligible to return. Any questions on residency before I move on? Okay. I know that there's a big chunk of residency licensed teachers out there. So if you have any questions about licensure, just make sure you can ask me at the end. I want to make sure that it's a clear understanding of what's required, because there are some teachers that, and I don't know if they're in Mecklenburg County or not off the top of my head, but there are some teachers who are not eligible to return because the EPP says that they're not eligible to renew their residency license. So during the school year, if a teacher is having issues with their classes or their coursework, or if a class is not offered or any problem at all, please send them to us. Let the EES unit in the Raleigh office work with the teacher and the site administrator so we can figure out what we can do to help them be successful during the school year.
So Brianna, you're saying if we have, the feedback is off. If we have any staff that's in the residency license period, and we know that they are in jeopardy of not being able to come back, then our directors need to contact you directly. Is that correct?
They can, but I prefer that you send the teachers to me.
Or the teacher? Okay.
Yep. The teacher can send me an email and copy the director on it so everyone's aware at the same time. It's just really important that we know if a teacher's having an issue with their residency license or any license, honestly.
Thank you.
Great question. All right, let's say it's the beginning of the school year, the person's enrolled, our intake and enrollment team are trying to determine if they are eligible to obtain the residency license. And let's say that Western Carolina University says you're not quite eligible for residency. These are the things that you need to do to become eligible for residency. That is when we will look at their transcripts to see, well, is there anything that we can do? So we're going to look at their transcripts to see if they're eligible to get an emergency license. They will have the emergency license for only one school year. I can't extend it. I can't renew it. You can only get the emergency license one time, and you can only get the emergency license if you've never held a residency license. We are looking to see if you have at least 18 hours of coursework. If that's the case, you have 18 hours of coursework related to, specifically birth through kindergarten, child development, early childhood education, then we will request the emergency license for you. While you hold that emergency license, you as a teacher have to make sure that you complete at least 6 semester hours or anything else that the college told you that you needed to do in order to be eligible for residency during that school year. Because once that emergency license expires, June 30th of that school year, there's nothing else that we can do besides help you get eligible for residency. And if you're not eligible for residency, then unfortunately, you're not eligible to return as an NC Pre-K lead teacher. There have been teachers this year who held an emergency license last year and are not eligible to return as your NC Pre-K lead teacher this year because they are not eligible for residency. So please just make sure that you are being in constant contact with your teacher to ask them how's school going. Are they having any issues? Are they having any problems getting enrolled in courses? If they're having any issue at all, send them to the Raleigh office. When in doubt, send them to the Raleigh office and we will see what's going on to see how we can help these teachers be successful. I know sometimes I'll get asked the question of, well, the teacher held a residency license, but they weren't eligible to renew it. So can they get an emergency? And I'm gonna have to tell them, unfortunately, no. Once you have held a residency license, you can't go backwards to emergency. All right, some of the less complicated licenses are coming up next. The initial license. If a teacher holds an initial license, then they have completed all coursework related to licensure. I know the names of these licenses can get confusing between residency and emergency and initial. The name of the license type will be on the license certificate. So like have the teacher show you their teaching license. And that is where you will be able to see what kind of license the teacher holds, because it's going to be right on the front of the license. If they hold an initial license, like I said, then they have completed all of their licensure coursework. And this is when they are going to be allowed 3 years to complete the beginning teacher support program with our mentors and evaluators provided by the EES office at UNC Charlotte. The goal for all of these teachers is to obtain a continuing license. This is the goal for everyone, no matter what level of license you are at. We are trying to get everybody to the continuing license stage. The continuing license is a renewable license and teachers will renew it every 5 years. I'm pausing because I want to make sure that people know that you don't extend these, they just renew every 5 years if you met the requirements. So for the people who hold these licenses, they are going to get observations and evaluations annually, just like any other teacher. However, in their 5th year of having that license, their requirements that they must meet in order to renew one set is based on their performance in the classroom. They will be evaluated every year on the North Carolina Professional Teaching Standards. They must rate proficient on 3 of the 5 standards. One of those 3 has to be standard 4. Pedagogy, I think that was the one where it says teachers are competent in the coursework in which they teach, in the area in which they teach, excuse me. So for continuing license teachers, just know that it's renewable every 5 years. In order to renew it, their performance in your classrooms must state on their evaluations that they are proficient on 3 of the 5 teaching standards, with standard 4 being one of them. They do have to meet another requirement. The second set of requirements are the continuing education units, or CEUs. These teachers have to complete 8 CEUs within the 5-year period. Every year I get asked, well, how many CEUs does my residency license teacher have to complete? The CEU requirement is only required for those who hold a continuing license, that 5-year license. And they have to complete at least 8 CEUs during the 5-year period. Not just 8 CEUs a year, but you have 5 years to do 8 units. 3 of the CEUs have to be in the BK area for content. 3 CEUs have to be in literacy, and 2 CEUs have to be in digital learning competencies. The mentors and the evaluators are great resources for trying to figure out where to find their CEUs. You can ask me, of course, and I can guide you, but the only time that you will ever hear me say that you can ask a mentor and evaluator a question about licensure is when it comes to where I can complete their CEUs. All right, so that's the basics of licensure that I want you all to know. I tried to keep it short so that I can show, basically, as the site administrator, what do I need to know about licensure? So everything that I shared is what you need to know as a site administrator so that you can best help your teachers be successful so that they can keep being eligible to return each school year. In closing, I want to make sure that I provide you guys with some helpful reminders. So first thing I want to show you is our EES change of information form. Tamaya has done a wonderful job helping us go digital. Tamaya is the reason why we went digital, if I'm honest. And so now all of these forms can be completed electronically. There's no more having to print out the form, write on it, fax it back to us. This form is accessible on our website. It's a DocuSign form. You open the link, you fill it out, and you can submit it to us instantaneously. This form is required, like I said, to update the teacher's personal information and if they change sites. So if an NC Pre-K lead teacher goes from your site to another NC Pre-K site, this is the form that you use, the purple one, the change form. If they're still going to be NC Pre-K in a non-public site, we need the purple one to change information. If they are leaving the field altogether and there will no longer be a NC Pre-K lead teacher anywhere, we need the separation form. As soon as you are notified that your teacher is vacating employment at your site, you need to tell them. If you're going to be teaching somewhere else, NC Pre-K, go fill out the change of information form. That's the purple one. If you are no longer going to be an NC Pre-K lead teacher anywhere, let's say you are retiring, or you want to teach in the public school, or let's say they're becoming a teacher assistant in the same site, we need to separate them. I know you will tell the contracting agency that the person is no longer in that same capacity, but again, our systems don't talk to each other. So this form is the only way that we will be able to know that the teacher is no longer employed as an NC Pre-K lead teacher. So please tell them to complete the separation form. If you're confused about what's happening and you don't know which form to tell them to complete, have them contact us. Just say, okay, you're not going to be one of our teachers anymore. Contact the Raleigh office for your next steps, and then we'll tell you which form to use. Just please make sure that we know it's somehow if their personal information has changed or if their site information has changed. Lastly, you all, site administrators. I understand that there can be turnover at this level as well. Because our office communicates with teachers and site administrators directly, we need to have the most current information as it relates to a site administrator. So if the site administrator changes, just send, I don't need it for every single teacher, just for one time, send us this form. This form is available on DocuSign as well. Send us this form so that we can update the contact information for the site administrator for each site. All right, do I have any questions about anything at all? Gonna turn my screen off in a second.
So we have a question. What if a team member resigns and they don't tell you where they're going? Which form?
Say it for me one more time.
A teacher resigns but does not tell where she's going.
Then tell the teacher that their next steps is either to complete the change of information form or to complete the separation form. Just say, hey, you're leaving. I understand you don't want to tell us where you're going, but the Raleigh office needs to know what to do with you now. So fill out these two forms or tell them to contact us so we can tell them what to do. Any more? All the information I just shared and there's no questions in there?
We're getting a lot of, that was overload for me.
Hey, that's fine. I can help you process it. Tell me where things went a little wonky.
Well, I want to go back to the residency license because I want to make sure that everybody understands the residency license, how many years people can participate, what are the requirements if Teresa doesn't fulfill her obligation of 6 hours in a year. You know, because I know you said a lot of people across the state are in that residency license area. So I want to make sure that I understand that, and I'm sure other people have questions about the residency license too, and the emergency license.
All right. Where should I start? When it comes to residency, okay, back up. When it comes to an unlicensed teacher, we are going to first try to determine if they are eligible for a residency license. That is always the go-to. Sometimes I'll get emails from a teacher saying, hey, I'm newly hired at ABC Childcare. I'm an NC Pre-K lead teacher. How do I get my emergency license? And my response is, I am so happy that you are here. Your next steps are going to be to determine if you're eligible for a residency. We don't even talk about emergency unless we have to. Emergency will only come into play if the college that they're enrolled in tells them that they're not eligible for residency. And then it kind of as a safety net, then we'll go to emergency. In order to become eligible for residency, there is a process of filling out this special form. It's called Form RL, Residency License Verification Certification of Institution. It's a long title, but it's Form RL. So we'll get their enrollment application and we'll see that teacher's unlicensed. We're going to say, great, we need to determine if you're eligible for residency. We're going to send you Form RL via DocuSign. Please make sure teachers know to review their inbox or their junk or their spam, because the form that they need to complete will be sent to them via DocuSign. So the way the form works is similar to their enrollment application. The teacher puts their information in the form, their name, their address, and I think their social security number. And then the form will automatically route to the college in which they said that they're going to. So if I say that I'm going to UNC Greensboro, and I put in the email address for UNC Greensboro, that's where the form is going to go to. So the form is now going to route to UNC Greensboro. I, as the teacher, should have been enrolling in our unit, the EES unit, at the same time that they were enrolling in the college of UNC Greensboro, for example. So now I'm applying to the college, I'm applying to the program. The program is going to look at the transcripts to see if I have met their requirements of the 2.7 GPA and the 24 semester hours of early childhood coursework. Like I said, every college looks at requirements differently. Some colleges look for specific coursework, some colleges don't. Some colleges require face-to-face programs. Some of them are a hybrid. Some of them are all online. So each college is different. I always tell teachers, you can go to any EPP you want to that has a residency BK program. Make sure you do your research. Don't go to a school just because your coworker is going to that school. Don't go to a certain school because your director told you to go there. I tell teachers, this is your license. You're the one who's going to be in the classes every semester. So you make sure that you go where you want to go. And then once the college does their review, they will hopefully sign the form saying that the teacher is eligible. Once they sign it via DocuSign, we'll get notified automatically, and the teacher will get a copy of Form RL as well. We'll use that form to be able to request a license. Once they have the license, they'll have it for 1 year at a time. During that 1 year period, teachers have to complete at least 6 semester hours from their plan of study and any other requirement that the school says. Let's say the school says during their 3rd year, you have to pass the EdTPA or PPAT assessment. I can't tell you what those titles mean, the acronyms, but they're 2 very important assessments that teachers have to pass. Or some schools require the praxis. The praxis is not a state requirement any longer, but it could be a requirement for the college. So because they're all different, I just say any additional requirements set by the college. So it could be the PPAT, it could be the EdTPA, it could be the praxis. I know there's a whole bunch of acronyms. I'm really, really sorry. But any other requirements set by the school is what they're going to have to complete that school year.
Yes.
I have a question. I have a lead teacher that has been in an emergency situation. Well, I'm using the wrong word. We were able to use her as a long-term sub. That's what it was. And but I just got word that UNCC has strongly recommended to her to leave the early childhood field and switch to sociology. And then I had another teacher contact me this summer that they were also encouraged to move from the early childhood program to sociology. Is that going to be a problem with licensure?
It definitely could be. It definitely could be. But again, if they are long-term substitutes and not entered in NC Pre-K plan as lead teachers, we wouldn't be working with them.
Because we still have this year, we can still use the long-term sub this year.
That's going to be a Jennifer Griffith question. Yeah.
I mean, Tracy, but we had talked about it in May, and so they had told me in May we could. So, sorry. Okay.
Our
So
policy-
they need to check and make sure that this isn't going to mess up their eligibility for a license.
And our policy consultant, Jennifer, she's going to discuss that after this meeting. So
Okay.
she'll be able to answer that question.
Yeah, great question. I really want to, I would love to know the answer to that, but I just can't help you with that one because the status being a long-term substitute. What I can tell you is that if a college is telling them to change programs, it could affect their eligibility.
And are there any other challenges or questions that you have from your experiences last year that you'd like to bring up?
Ooh, great question.
That we can kind of problem solve? So everybody was good with their teachers last year?
There were no issues last year as it relates to licensure.
Teacher's fault. It's nothing to do with you. It was the teacher didn't follow through, so you can't do nothing about that.
Yeah. I appreciate you having that viewpoint. I appreciate it. I do.
I need to take this way back, and I apologize that I have to take this way back, but I'm going to be the slow learner on the block right now. Okay, so tomorrow I know we're having a new teachers workshop, correct? Is that correct? Okay, so I have just hired 2 people that are going to be part of my NC Pre-K teachers, but all I know about them is that they do have their BA degrees. So that means I need to go through that process of the application. So is it okay to go ahead and hire those teachers, which I already did, and then place them in the training tomorrow that they're going to, and start this process today when we get back to our location? How does this, so I'm taking this way back because they're already on our list for NC Pre-K as our educators that are going into that classroom.
Are they in the workforce unit?
Yes, they're already in the workforce unit and everything.
Okay. I'm glad you brought up workforce because a lot of times, I'm glad you brought up workforce. The workforce education unit and the early educator support unit are both units in the Division of Child Development. So I know how that can get confusing. What workforce qualifies a teacher as being able to have has nothing to do with what I'm going to qualify them for.
Okay.
Just because a teacher has a qualifying letter saying, I am eligible to be a lead teacher, I say that is great, but that has nothing to do with if you're eligible to hold a license. So that's that piece of information. Now, granted, all of our teachers have to go through workforce, and it's like they qualify them to be lead teachers, and then we take a deeper dive to see if you're eligible to have a license. Secondly, you will rarely hear me say that an applicant is safe to hire without me looking at any kind of documentation. Also, of course, it would be great if I could give preliminary evaluations before you hire them. I feel like that's what would make sense to me too, but unfortunately I can't. So as far as if you should hire that person, I unfortunately can't give any advice on that.
Okay.
But what I can say is if you hire them and they enroll with us and there's a change request number entered and you put that change request number on their enrollment application and our office gets their enrollment application, I can promise you that we will look at it as soon as we can to determine if you're eligible. I'm really surprised that no one asked me how long is it going to take for a person to get determined eligible.
How long is it going to take?
That's a great question. So as far as how long is it going to take for a applicant to be deemed eligible, that answer is dependent upon several different factors. It depends from the time you hire them. It depends upon how long it takes you to get a CR number so that you can finish them the application process. It's dependent upon.
Give us a minute. We're coming.
It's dependent upon how long it takes the teacher to submit transcripts to our unit. It's dependent upon how long it takes the teacher to enroll in college. And then when he or she does enroll in college, it depends upon how long it takes the teacher to, it takes the college to determine if they're eligible or not. So it's kind of hard for me to say how long is it going to take for you to get an answer of if they're eligible or not, because there's so many different hands in the pot and people have to do their own their own part of it. I can't give you a distinct answer. Tamaya, when you were handling intake, about if you had to put a range or a ballpark number, how long did it take for most teachers to determine if they were eligible for a residency license?
I would say it just depends on so many different factors. So maybe 2 to 3 weeks. But again, if they have transcripts coming from out of state, it's just so many different things. We call our teachers snowflakes because each teacher is different. So whereas it may take one teacher a week to get the whole process resolved, have a complete enrollment, and ready for Brianna to request their license, it may take another teacher 3 weeks, sometimes a little bit longer. So 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes longer, just depends.
Thank you, Tamaya.
I hear some sidebars, so I think there are some questions.
Go for it.
No, I'm just having a little summer buzz going on in my brain. I'm feeling anxious because I feel like, and please correct me if I'm not understanding. I'm feeling very anxious because I feel like we're just getting a lot of this very important information at the beginning of August that we didn't have a few months ago when we were hiring people. And so now I'm fixing to go sit down with someone who is in a position, and I'm like, sorry, it's August 6th. We start in and we're just getting this very important information, and then we're hearing it might take 2. So I feel like we're sort of getting dumped with a lot of stuff and a lot of maybes and but it's also very important stuff that we're getting it really late in the game.
And I do know the regs came out, the new requirements and updates came out, which was forwarded to our directors as soon as we received it. And this is the first opportunity that we've had to meet with Brianna, and I think some things changed in July. Did the new requirements come out in July, Brianna?
I do know that there were some changes, but those changes did not affect NC Pre-K teachers because all of our requirements are state mandated by the General Assembly and Department of Public Instruction. So our requirements haven't changed. The only thing that's changed for us, the only thing that's changed for us is the enrollment application. But what I can say is to ease some of the concern is as soon as Mecklenburg County places their teachers in the NC Pre-K plan database, there are going to be some returning teachers and some new teachers. As soon as they put them in the plan database, I look at every single change request every single week. Excuse me, and every single week I will go through and approve as many teachers as I can, as many of them as I can. And so hopefully as soon as they're placed, you'll be able to know as soon as possible, yep, the teacher's approved, yep, this one's approved, yep, this one's approved. If there's one that's not approved, you're gonna know why. It'll be put in the NC Pre-K plan database for why they are not eligible. Also, if they're not eligible, site administrators are copied on all the emails that says why someone is not eligible. I have to encourage, read the emails. There are so many times where I'll get an email from a director that says, I want to know if Brent Best is eligible to stay in the classroom. And I'm going to say, well, I sent you an email on this day and this day that told you what requirements we still need. As of date, I still need those requirements to be able to determine if they're eligible for a license. So I know it's frustrating. I would be completely anxious too if I was in a position of a site administrator. The only advice that I can give, or any guidance that I can give, is to tell you that as soon as they're entered in the plan, they will either be automatically approved because of the type of license that they hold, and Jennifer will get to that momentarily, or if there's a change request in there for me to have to look at them, I look at them every single week. Typically, I do Mondays and Tuesdays. It's teacher approval season is kind of slow right now, so I'm looking at them several times a week. So as soon as they're entered, I'm looking at them.
And just a clarifying question, the educational requirements have not changed for NC Pre-K. It's okay.
Nope.
It's just more clarification is coming down the pike now.
I have
Yeah.
a question. We got new requirements about various degrees, which piggybacks off of what you said. Does for the state of North Carolina, so I think they put in psychology, sociology, might have been one. There are various degrees that qualify for the state. How does that apply to NC Pre-K, or if it does, or it doesn't at all?
It doesn't at all. Those, I know the NC Pre-K unit sent out guidance around the new education as far as qualifying degrees. And I think I can't remember what date that email was sent, but I do remember that email going out stating that there were different educational requirements, but that does not play a part in licensure for NC Pre-K lead teachers. For us, nothing has changed.
Any of those degrees, though, for working towards the teaching license?
Say it again.
Can you accept any of those degrees working towards the NC Pre-K license?
Possibly.
Because, okay, that's good.
I'm gonna say possibly, but I don't have the final say over eligibility for residency license. The college does. So for example, for a residency BK license, I have seen teachers who hold a criminal justice degree be deemed eligible for a residency BK license because one college that they went to decided to make that, decided to look for 2 Englishes, 2 maths, 2 sciences. It's not, when it comes to licensure, it's not so much which degree they have as it relates to which coursework they have. And I know if I was a site administrator, I would feel like, well, that doesn't help me to figure out who's eligible. But when it comes to licensure, I would just say that the college determines who's eligible, and it's based off of coursework and not degrees in which they hold. And each college looks at it differently. Some colleges are real specific on what coursework they want, and some colleges are, I'm not gonna say lenient, but they take a holistic approach to look at the teacher as a whole to determine if they're eligible for residency. It's very, very broad.
I think the challenge comes in when you expect the UNC system to all have the same requirements, regardless of whether you're at Winston-Salem State, East Carolina, UNC Sharp, but they all have their different requirements for their program. So it makes it difficult for you on your end to say, you know, what qualifies them or what are they eligible for, when again, even the praxis and the EdTPA is different from college to college. So it really just depends on the institution where they're enrolled.
Yes, great information. I would also say on our website, we have a list of educator preparation programs, and we have the contact information for each college on our website. Our website is now a pretty good resource. Tamaya has done a wonderful job making sure that website has been updated. Go to our website, look at the list of educator preparation programs so that you can look yourself to see what the programs are. So you can know how to show your teachers where to go to get their information themselves. So they can know, what does Western Carolina look like? What does Catawba Colleges? What does UMO look like? I can't tell you which schools to go to. I can tell you which ones most of my teachers, I think, typically enroll in, but my guidance is always going to be to go to our list, look at the list, look at who you can contact, tell teachers, do the research, because each school is different.
Any more questions? We have about 10 minutes left with Ms. Best. Yes, yes, ma'am.
I just have another question about if they transfer from MEC pre-K to NC pre-K, do we start this process over?
If a teacher transfers from MEC pre-K, oh, yes, because MEC pre-K is not an NC pre-K program.
Okay,
question
so they have
was
to
if
start
a-
everything new.
The question was, if a teacher transfers from MEC pre-K to NC pre-K, would they have to start the process over? And the answer is yes, because MEC pre-K is not an NC pre-K site, or they don't have any NC pre-K.
That is a great question. Tamaya, do you want to answer that for enrollment purposes?
Yeah, so what would happen is the teacher would need to enroll with the EES unit by completing the enrollment application. If they had a license, they need to attach a legible copy of that license to the enrollment application. And and you guys will be surprised by how many documents we get that we can't read. And it's like, I know you couldn't read it when you took a picture of it. But anyway, so yes, if they have a license, they need to attach a legible copy, and we will work with them from there to figure out what their next steps are for licensure, eligibility, and enrollment. So yes, they would have to enroll with us.
Okay.
Hey, Jennifer.
No, Jennifer is there.
I love Jennifer.
Pageant wave.
So just one more question. As an administrator, do I apply for the BK license for a teacher? Or
No,
does,
ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No,
so
no,
who
no.
applies? Who do we
Teacher,
send teachers to? And how much does it cost?
$60 to $100.
And how soon do they need to pay that money?
ASAP. Also, before I get off this call, I really want to tell the site administrators that Tamaya and I are here whenever you need us. We try to make the licensure world not as scary and confusing. We try to bring humor when we can. We try to make it lighthearted as possible. I know teachers get really concerned. I was in the classroom. I understand what it can be like talking to the Raleigh office. We try to make it more personable as we can. I will always be welcome to if I can't get there in person, I'll be more than happy to get on a call with all of your teachers. If there's like a teacher work day and everyone's there, if you want to go into a gym or something and put me on the screen and I can answer any question the teacher may have. I've done that before. I've gone to counties where maybe all the directors wanted to get together, or just a few directors want to get together, and I would answer questions like that. I have no problem being supportive to you in any way that you may need. If there's a day where you want to have a video chat with me and some of your teachers so that everyone's on the same page, I have no problem doing that as well. But we really want to have like our face be seen so that we can answer questions, because a lot of times teachers will follow instructions given by a coworker. 100 times out of 100, the information that they get is wrong. And then I have seen teachers have to pay extra processing fees. I have seen teachers enroll in coursework that they didn't have to enroll in because they were given the wrong information. They meant well, but they were given the wrong information. So if you want to have a call, a virtual Teams meeting, I can send a link, or you can send me a Zoom, however you want to do it. Just please know that we are welcome, and we are welcome to talk to you whenever you need, and just be of any kind of support that you may need from us.
Thank you.
No problem. And you can call me, but you can get to me quicker in email. But if you need to talk to me about something that's really specific, you can send me an email saying, "Hey, Brianna, can we schedule a conference call? Or can you call me right now?" And yep, I will call you right then. If I can. Can I give what?
Your email address.
Your email address.
I sure can.
They said your personal email, your personal address, telephone number, social security card, blood type.
There you go. This is all I can give you.
Oh, okay. We can't even see them.
Oh. Is this? Can you make your screen larger? Three dots on the right hand side, up at the top. Okay, there you go. BREANIA dot best. BREANIA dot best, BEST at DHHS.NC.gov.
DHHS.
Yes,
Dot.
DHHS
Dot.
NC.gov.
Yep. Email me any question that you have. Any question.
Great.
I've had some directors who will send me an email with a list of like 10 questions. I'm like, I got it. I'll answer each one of them.
Thank you.
Of course. So I am going to, I guess, hop off so that Jennifer can prepare for hers.
Well, Jennifer is there, so she doesn't need the teams. Yeah.
Bye, everybody. You guys have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
So real quick, now that all the pre-K team is here, just in case you, and some of you came in just a little late after we started, here's a sign-in sheet. If you did not get a chance to sign in, we're going to pass it around, as well as the agenda for today. My name is Teresa Beam. I am your new ED for pre-K programs with CMS. Some of you I met last spring, and some of you I have not met. I come to you from Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools, where I was the director of the Office of Early Learning. I have experience in working with child care providers in both daycare centers and family child homes, resource and referral, helping parents find high-quality child care, pre-K teacher, EC pre-K teacher, EC pre-K coordinator, and I come just to you to learn more about the CMS way. I will tell you that our theme this year is the pre-K way, and the pre-K way is excellence in all that we do from beginning to end. That's